welcome to Katie's Insight, where I give my insight on all kinds of things, including news, business, finance, entertainment, current events, but most importantly right now, stimulus, because you guys need money, I need money, we need to stay in our homes and eat food and have money for medicine, which the federal government doesn't seem to care about. But if you guys didn't see it earlier, go check it out. I have a video where I talk about the $1,200 the $1,200 stimulus checks or 750 stimulus checks that you can be getting right now. So go take a look at that as well. Tons of resources to find stimulus money in your areas. Because you guys know when the federal government fails you, people like me are going to do my best to jump in and try to find you guys money or find ways to be able to help you. How do I keep forgetting? Guys, I forget this every time, which is why there's a jump cut. I'm giving away a $100 gift card. Very simple. This is all you have to do to win. Like every video you see, subscribe, hit notifications, comment, share the content. Boom, you're entered, you're eligible. That's all you have to do. Now here's a new rule. The more comments you leave, the higher the chance you have to win. If you leave 100 comments, you have 100 times more chance to win. I announce winners on Monday. Good luck. The other thing, guys, if you are looking for more one-on-one help for your individual stimulus needs, go to my Facebook page, like the page, Katie's Insight, and go to the group. The group is called Katie's Corner. It will be changed to Katie's Insight soon. We are helping people on a more one-on-one basis find stimulus resources in your area. By the way, it's all free. We're just a group of people trying to help each other. We have moderators in there. There's one kicking butt, British Gray. Hey, cuz, she's amazing. She helps everybody in their areas find money. We're just trying to help people because we're all struggling. That's it. You'll be selling anything to you. We just want to be helpful. So make sure and go there. Okay, on with the video. Now, I want to touch on some of the latest when it comes to stimulus and a really annoying rumor. I've already done 2 videos on this and the rumor's taken off in another direction. So I want to talk about that, and that's going to segue into, is Trump doing executive orders on stimulus checks anytime soon? Might be possible. So first, let me go ahead. I have a few notes that I took because now you guys probably are aware that if you followed my channel, I have talked a little bit about the election. I stopped talking about it as much because I kept running into issues with YouTube. YouTube was not very happy with me. I don't take a stance either way. I just show people where the information is and how it looks to me. And they weren't very happy with some of my videos. And they're very, very sensitive about talking about the election right now. So understand I have to be very careful how I talk about this. But because we're talking about Trump, we're talking about executive orders, I do want to give you guys some updates on where things are at. So far, I think like 34 different lawsuits have been thrown out. Trump really isn't making much headway in the state federal courts at all. In fact, Pennsylvania, which as you guys know, is still one of those states that they're, they've called it, but there's a lot of back and forth with it. There's so much weirdness still going on with this election, which is why I think it's really interesting when people are like, it's over, get over it. And I'm like, well, the media is not the one that calls the elections, it's the Electoral College. And there's still a lot of stuff up in the air. However, it says the Pennsylvania Third Court of Appeals rejected a third appeal. So 3 times Trump and his team have tried to go through the Pennsylvania Third Court of Appeals to appeal something. This is the 3rd time. Now they said these lawsuits have no merit when asked. Now here's another thing. So when Trump was recently asked if he would step down if the Electoral College calls Biden the winner and that people have voted him in, he said he will. But he also said there's going to be a lot of things happen between now and January 21st. Now, there is a rumor that if Trump can't get his election where he wants, that he will be making here soon. He'll be making an announcement that he will be running in 2024. And apparently, with the Georgia runoffs, as you guys know, we still have things up in the air when it comes to the Congress. And that's a very, very powerful situation, especially in the Senate, because whoever controls the Senate kind of controls everything to an extent. So when it comes to Georgia, they're still doing this runoff. It's still very, very close. And apparently, he's going to go campaign down there. Now, the funny thing is, it's just been announced Biden is going to do the same for the opposite candidate. And it's been rumored that he might announce he is running in 2024. Now, I want to bring up something because, again, the election is something I've been studying, not as intensively lately, for a while I was, but I kind of want to throw some things out there just to kind of give you guys a heads up, whether or not you're, pro-Trump, anti-Trump, wherever you stand. I'm just going to give you the information as it's being reported and as I see it. Even though we keep hearing that these lawsuits are being thrown out, that nothing's happening, it doesn't mean it's over for Trump. Because you guys remember, I've been telling you guys that for months, I feel like both sides of the aisle, right, both Republicans, Democrats, and even the White House. They have all been in this preparation for what's coming after the election. So for instance, Nancy Pelosi won't piecemeal anything to help us Pelosi. Remember her? Yet she piecemealed for the post office and stopgap for the government. How interesting, to protect her money and to make sure that there was a way so that they could sway the election in their favor. In my opinion, that's just how it looks. Not saying that's the case. I'm giving my opinion on what it looks like. But then we have Trump. And Trump dropped stimulus at the last minute and said, okay, screw this, Senate, get us a SCOTUS, get us a Supreme Court justice before the election. And they put in their Amy Coney Barrett. And honestly, just like I said for Pelosi, I could say the same thing. Is that his way of swaying the election? Trump had been saying for quite some time, he'd been saying for weeks and months that this will probably be a rigged election. There's going to be all different types of issues. In fact, the rumor was from Trump and his campaign that the last election was rigged. It just wasn't rigged well enough. I'm not saying it was or it wasn't. I'm just reporting what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. So when I've watched this, I feel like I've watched both parties for a while prepare for their side of a situation. So here's what I want to tell you. Just because we're hearing that these lawsuits are getting thrown out, that's not actually a bad thing. I know it looks like a bad thing, but again, you have to think about this in terms of his plan, right? And the court proceeding, because love Trump or hate Trump, I've said this from the get-go. He's very intelligent and he's a master chess player. And I know people roll their eyes, well, he said stupid stuff. Well, right. But just because he said stupid stuff doesn't mean that's not the measure of an intelligence he has. You have to weigh it in the totality. He's had several successful businesses. Yes, he's had failures. I can already hear it. He's had bankruptcies. Sure. So have I for medical. But he's had so many successes in different forms of business, as an entertainer, in reality TV, as so many things across the board. It's hard to ever have one success, guys. And I love when people like to bring up his failures because it's like, you're absolutely right. But I've had a ton of failures in business. But my failures help me to be successful. It's not your failures that make you who you are. It's how you've turned things around. And to be successful and do what he's done multiple times, you have to be intelligent. Like, this is something that I'm kind of going through it myself. I was always raised to believe, because I wasn't super book smart. I grew up and I had a family member who was super book smart, and she was the smart one and I was the artistic one. And later I realized, even though I am creative and artistic, no, I'm very intelligent. It's just in different areas, right? So for me, I've been able to be successful at business, number one, top of what I'm doing across the country. In sometimes internationally in several different areas. And it helped me understand I just for a long time thought I was stupid because I had to work. I was one of those people, I worked my butt off to make a B average, if that makes sense. Like, math was a panic attack every day. I didn't get it. But I built 2 or 3 successful YouTube channels from scratch. That's very difficult to do, right? That's something I've understood. I'm like, that's kind of like making lightning strike. And I've done it 3 times, hoping to do it for a 4th. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm trying to sound arrogant. My point is to say, I had to understand, because I thought I was stupid for so long because I compared myself to book smart family members. I had to understand that intelligence comes in many forms and fashions. And regardless of whether or not you like Trump, you have to admire that it takes intelligence to do what he's done. Yes, he got a loan from his father. Doesn't matter. Most people who get that kind of money blow it. They can't do anything with it, but he's done multiple things with it. So my point is just to say he's intelligent. Hate him all you want. He's intelligent. I've always said, sometimes I marvel at the intelligence of something that's very evil. Not because I like the evil thing, but you can respect somebody's intelligence even if it has horrible intention and you're against what they've done. If that makes any sense. Sorry, that's a little bit of a diatribe, but my point is to say with Trump, he has a plan, in my opinion. And I don't think this is over. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe it is. But think about the chess moves that were pulled. Nancy gets the post office on her side in a way that's never been done before, while touting it's not a good idea for people to go and vote, but you can go outside and party when, Biden gets elected. That's totally fine. You can go protest, but you can't go vote. And I'm not telling people not to, I would always say, be safe, be safe, be safe. It's the hypocrisy of it, guys. It's just the blatant, sheer hypocrisy of it all that drives me and so many other people nuts. It drives people like me to end up going over to Trump's side. And I'm not a Trump supporter, but this is why people end up jumping ship from the Democratic side, because the leaders are just doing these ridiculous, hypocritical things. So I think as a result, Trump saw this was coming. He had been saying it for a while. He said he's got lawyers ready, and he has lawyers across the country working with him. And they said, okay, we know we're not going to have much pull in small state federal court. We're going to have to take this to the Supreme Court. So now let's focus our efforts in getting somebody in there to help sway that decision. And I think that's exactly what he's done. So from what we're hearing, it looks like this could be going to that high court, to the Supreme Court in the next week or so. I will keep you up to date on that. What is going to happen, guys? I don't know. I don't think we can predict it. And I'm not trying to, put him or anybody else down. I'm just saying things are looking weird. And just because the lower courts are rejecting him, I think that's what he wants on some level, because he knows he has more sway with the Supreme Court. Otherwise, why did he push in a SCOTUS as quickly as he could? Let's just think about that. That's it. I just wanted to throw that out there because that's interesting to me. So for the moment, that's where we're at with the election. Now, let's go ahead and segue that into the rumor mill, which starts with Steve Mnuchin and goes into executive orders for stimulus checks. Where are we at there? So if you guys remember, I told you that Steve Mnuchin and the Fed had a fight last week that I was covering that I found so interesting, because basically, typically, the Treasury and the Fed work really well together, and they never publicly have fights and disagree, but this happened. They were writing angry letters and stuff back and forth, and basically, Steve Mnuchin, who, if Biden gets into office, is on his way out the door, asked for a ton of money back. In fact, in the tune of $450 billion. Now, that might sound scary, but this is actually a good thing. Why am I saying this? How can this be a good thing? Because in all of this, this money will be taken back, be repurposed to use in the Congress for a new stimulus bill, which I think we can all agree that's fantastic. We need the help. Let's get the help. However, here are the rumor mills. First, we heard the mainstream media go off, saying how awful he is. He's sabotaging Biden. He's just screwing over Biden. He's ruining the country. And he's going to take the money for himself. None of that could be further from the truth. Let me explain what this is and what this means. So Steve Mnuchin was one of the people that helped craft the legislation for the CARES Act. In that, the CARES Act money was only supposed to be used until the end of 2020. Now, that I think it was $600 billion in total that went to the Fed. It was for programs that Steve Mnuchin came up with to help people. For instance, the Main Street Lending Program and several other programs that were supposed to help buy bonds and prop up the economy. So here's the thing. Barely any of it was spent, and it's not helping the American people. In fact, what happened was just the fact that the markets heard that the Fed had about $600 billion, they calmed down, money opened up, people started lending, things were happening again, everything calmed down just from the sheer presence of it. So on top of that, the programs that were supposed to help the regular people didn't. Like the Main Street Lending Program didn't help anybody. We really needed more forms of PPP, or the EIDL should have given us our $10,000 grants and didn't. So that's what we're looking at. And Steve Mnuchin is saying, okay, let's take this money now because you haven't spent it. It hasn't really helped people. Let's take it back to the Congress to help with a new stimulus bill. Now, as we know, Steve Mnuchin has been extremely involved. In fact, he has been at the head of trying to get a stimulus bill done for everybody. Typically, it's been him representing the White House, him and Mark Meadows meeting with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer for the last several months to try to get behind closed doors and get a deal done, which falls flat every time. Now, we got to where the Democrats were at $3.4 trillion, and we had the Republicans around $500 million to $1 trillion. We were able to shorten that gap. So the White House came up to 1.8, 1.9 trillion, and the Democrats came down 2.2 trillion. It's not really fair of me to say the Democrats came down. They just said we'll shorten the time frames on some of these things that we want to do. If I'm being honest, that's what it was. So now, here's the new rumor, because I wanted to clear up all of that, right? First of all, let me just say Steve Mnuchin can't just take the money for himself. He would go to prison because he'd be breaking the law. And he's not, as I've said before, screwing over Biden. Yes, he could have left that money in there and let the Fed do, I guess, what they want to do with it. But Biden's not going to be using that money anyways, unless Biden was planning on using that money for nefarious purposes, which I hope he wouldn't. But then again, I don't trust any of these players of the government. Now, Steve Mnuchin, if Biden goes into office, is being replaced with Janet Yellen. So we're hearing from sources and rumors. Now, Janet Yellen was the head of the Fed for a while, and it looks like that Biden wants to put her at the head of the Treasury. So in regard to that, I guess it could kind of be screwing her over in a sense, but I don't see how that would be the case. So it is one theory that maybe, Mnuchin's trying to screw over whoever comes in there. I think he's just doing what was written per the CARES Act. Could be wrong. I don't know these people. I'm not trying to sit here and act like I do. I'm just kind of giving you my assessment on where I see things and where they stand. Now, here's the next rumor. So then we have the opposite side of the end, the conservative media, which really isn't much at all at this point, not even Fox. I never really liked Fox to begin with. I'm sorry. Bill O'Reilly was on there. I'm not a big fan of Bill O'Reilly, never have been. I know he hasn't been there for a while, but so many of the people at Fox weren't real nice to women, please and fur. And his big thing was the war on Christmas. Like, he just seems like a blowhard, loud, know-it-all. Just one of those dudes I just can't stand to be around. Sound off in the comments if you feel the same way about Mr. O'Reilly. Or the big thing that we need to worry about is the war on Christmas. I can't stand that man. But anyway, and I love that thing, guys. Remember, we'll do it live. We'll do it live. Remember that came out? If you don't, look it up. Look up, oh my gosh, what is it called? Sound off in the comments. What was that show called? It's not Entertainment Tonight. It's, is it not hard copy? Remember the horns? Burr, burr, and then burr, burr. What is that? Sound off. If you guys know what I'm talking about, because it's hilarious. You have to go see it. He was talking about Sting's new album, and I guess like the teleprompter people were messing up. He's cursing everybody and making a fun. Anyways, so, but that's a little bit about him. But the conservative media, and this is the thing that kind of drives me nuts about the conservative media, because I feel like over the last 10, 15 years, the liberals and conservatives in many ways switched, right? So back in the day, the liberals, and maybe they still are, they're a bunch of new age hippies with all these crazy ideas and blank theories. And now we have the conservatives who love a good blank theory. And here's the thing. Yeah, there's a lot of blank theories that end up being true. And there's a lot of them that are horse crap. For instance, I went through my new age years. I still have a lot of things I take from the new ageisms. There are certain things I like, but I like a lot of things. I like things from Christianity. I like things from Hinduism, Taoism. Like, there's all kinds of things that I like. But from that time, I remember I heard this blank theory that the moon is actually just like a big inflatable balloon. Like, I just heard so many crazy ones, and a lot of people would just blindly believe it. They just blindly believe whatever they saw. So I do think the conservatives, if they're not careful, they go down that bandwagon a little bit too much. I understand why they do, but they need to be a little bit careful about it. But now they're saying that Mnuchin is completely screwing over Trump because Trump wanted to give people stimulus money. This is what Trump's been wanting to do. He wants to give stimulus money, and now Mnuchin is taking it away from him, and he's not going to be able to do it. So that's the next big thing that we're hearing. And I gotta tell you guys, from everything I can see, it's completely false. Now, first of all, it was just recently that it came out that the lawyers for the Treasury informed Trump you cannot allocate any funds from the Treasury or from the Fed Reserve for you to be able to do stimulus checks. Now, where does this come from? And I'm not saying these blank theories don't just come out of anywhere, right? It's because Trump held a press conference September 4th. In fact, I have this saved in a folder. There's certain little clips and stuff I have saved for if I ever need them. This is one of them that I have saved because Trump came out. This was about a month-ish after he did his executive orders for unemployment, for student loans, for mortgage, for all of that, right? This is a little bit after that. So he comes out with all of this news. And he signs his executive orders. And then he starts doing these light pushes, I'll call it, to Congress because they won't get their you-know-what together to help anybody and pass something. And so he has a press conference where he talks about stimulus checks. And he says, I've got the Treasury ready. I've told them to be ready to send stimulus checks to people. And he says them telling things. He then says, I might be doing stimulus checks by myself. There's a theory that I can do it. There's $300, $400 billion left somewhere that I could be able to do this with. It's a theory. I'd rather have the congressional support. So he starts lightly pushing them to let them know, hey, if you don't do this, I'll do it and make you look bad, right? Now, I want to go ahead and play some of those clips again. Not super long, but play some of those clips. We'll go over what he said, and I'm going to go over where things actually stand. Because even though I'm saying this, it doesn't mean he can't help. There are some twists and turns with the story. So let's take a look at what he said on September 4th.
Well, my administration has fought every day to restore prosperity. However, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats in Congress are holding additional China virus relief hostage to reasons that nobody understands. I guess I do. I think I understand. It's called politics. And speaking of politics, I think North Carolina, I think that Michigan and Pennsylvania and other states, they should open, the governors, the Democrat governors should open the states. They'll open them on November 4th, but they should open them now. It's very unfair to the people to have those shutdowns continuing at the level that they're continuing. Democrats are insisting on a massive taxpayer bailout of badly run blue states, stimulus checks for illegal aliens, and the mass release of inmates from jail. They want to release a lot of inmates, some of them for very serious reasons. They want to release them from jail. They want that as part of a stimulus package. Can you believe it? It's time for the Democrats in Congress to start working across the aisle and put the American people first. Now, we have $300 billion in an account that we didn't use, $300 billion, and we are willing to use that. I would be willing to release it subject to Congress and use that as stimulus money, and it would go right to the American people. So we have $300 billion sitting in an account that we didn't need because things are going so well with the economy. But it would be a very appropriate thing to release that to the American people, and I am willing to do it. All we need is a sign-off. But that doesn't mean that we're going to release prisoners, some very vicious people, actually. We're not going to put them on the streets like the Democrats want us to. And we're not going to give stimulus checks to illegal aliens. They came into the country illegally, and now we give them a check. We want to give the checks to the American people. So remember, we have $300 million. It's there. We don't need the money. We don't need anything. Just let that money get released to the American people. As our economy rebounds, there's only one thing that could stop the extraordinary economic comeback and wipe out the future of American workers, and that's what the Democrats want to do with a $4 trillion tax hike, implementing things that will be really bad for our country. And this will just absolutely cripple what we're doing on regulations and so many other elements of success. We had the greatest economy in history prior to the China virus coming in. And we're very proud of all of the people for doing such an incredible job. This is a V. It's a super V. Again, we have $300 billion ready to go. All Congress has to do is say use it. If they say use it, I'd like to use it without their permission, but I guess I'm not allowed to do that. I did ask that question. So Congress has to just say use it. All they have to do is say use it. $300 billion gets immediately put into our system and will really help the American people. There's nothing else to do, just a very quick statement.
Thank you, President Trump. If I could first ask a clarifying question about the $300 billion.
Yeah.
You've ruled out doing that unilaterally. You're going to wait for Congress to repurpose it for stimulus checks.
Yeah, what about it?
Oh, is that correct? You're waiting for
Well,
Congress?
there's a theory that I can do it without the approval, but I'd rather get the approval so that we have it. But there's a theory I could take the $300 billion. It's money that we have, money that we've built up, and money that we haven't spent, and I would love to give it to the American people as a very powerful stimulus. So, yeah, I think there is a theory that I could do it without having to go back, but I think it would be appropriate to go back, and I would ask Congress to approve it. It's a very simple approval. It's literally a one-sentence approval, and the Democrats should do that. The Republicans will do that. They'd be glad to do that. So we'll see whether or not they do it, okay?
Thanks, Mr. President. A quick clarification on my question. The $300 billion, is that from the Main Street Lending Program, or is that from a different part? Where are you?
It's sitting in an account, has not been spent, but we're willing to spend it. No, we're willing to spend it. I'd like to get approval from Congress. There's a theory that I don't have to do that, but I'd rather be up front, and I'd like to get approval from Congress. Let it go directly to the people. It would be a great stimulus. It's actually more stimulus than we're asking for in terms of pure stimulus. This would be pure stimulus. I wouldn't have to let prisoners go, some very evil prisoners go. Like, think of it. The Democrats, in order to get what they want and in order to give us they're talking about allowing prisoners to be released, prisoners that we don't want to be released. So in order that we get money to the American people, they want to say release prisoners and other things like that are very bad. And we just can't do that. We don't want to do that.
Now, you heard that. He said there's a theory that he can do it. And what we were thinking, what we all thought because of what he was talking about with the money was that he was talking about all that money that the Fed wasn't using as well. There's also leftover money from the PPP, 130 billion in that. There's a lot of different sources of untapped, unused money that's just sitting there. Now, the rumor is, and what we're hearing is, Trump with lawyers looked into it and they said there's no way you can use that money. Remember, for the executive orders he did, like the LWA for unemployment, for all of those programs, he had to take from FEMA, and it wasn't long lasting. Those executive orders, they were supposed to get funding till the end of December, but they only went for unemployment. You only got between 5 to 6 weeks of extra unemployment because the FEMA money is not allowed to go too low in case there were different emergencies and things. And there were a lot of things. We were having the wildfire issues and hurricanes and all these other things that were popping up around the country as they kind of do. The wildfires I have to really look at and kind of, it gets my blank theories going because there were just too many all at once. There's just a lot. If you ever go look down that rabbit hole, it gets real weird about all these wildfires on the West Coast. I don't know. A lot of things I see, all I'm saying, the stuff don't smell right, doesn't sit right with me. I'm not going to say much else about it. That's just how it looks to me. But, okay, so in regard to a lot of these issues, where are we at and where is Trump at? I don't think he can allocate that money. If Biden can't, Trump can't. I think if Trump could have, he already would have. I think Steve Mnuchin is just trying to follow the laws of the CARES Act. From everything I've seen from Steve Mnuchin, he seems like a straight shooter and one of the few people who's really, without an agenda, stepping up and trying to help us. Now, he could be mad because he's going to lose his job. He could be. I highly doubt it because he's now, once again, raising the alarm and saying, hey, while I'm here, Democrats, come to the table. Let's get a deal done for the people. We now have more money. Y'all want more money? Here it is. And now the Republicans are happy enough with this much money to come to the table. Let's come to the table. And so far, they won't. My opinion is, as I said, I think the Democrats are not going to do anything that can make Trump look good. They're not going to do anything until they have their boy Biden securely in office because I don't think they're very secure with their position with him. I really don't. That's just my opinion. That's my assessment of it. Now, what's the other side of this? So here's the twist that I wanted to bring up. The other side of this is that a couple things are going on. We're now having bigger and bigger pushes for a smaller bill to be implemented right now, which I think would be desperately needed and would be one just targeted to helping the American people. It does make me mad that the one targeted to helping us is smaller, and apparently they're spending all this big money on crap that really isn't about helping us, which thank you, Democrats, and thank you for Republicans for not wanting to spend much. And again, it's not really going much to help us anyway. So we would have a small right now interim bill. Because like I said, I just don't think on both sides of the aisle, anybody's going to want to get anything done right now. I don't think they're going to want to get anything done until they know who's firmly going to be in the office of president. I think that goes for Democrats who don't want to make Trump look good and are scared of their position, and Republicans who don't know what's happening and don't know what kind of bargaining chips they have. So they'll wait to see what's going to happen there as well as the Georgia runoff. But we need help right now. Nancy Pelosi is feeling more and more pressure. Remember, she said, big bill or nothing. We're not going to piecemeal except for things that's going to help me with the election. Nance, blow out Nance. She is now feeling the pressure to do a smaller bill. Trump is all for it. In fact, the other day, we heard one of his representatives say, so I think it was a senator or it was some type of representative I had on the channel, and they said, look, Trump is willing to sign anything to help the people as long as it goes to helping the people. He'll do it right now. Or the Problem Solvers Caucus, I think. That's what they are saying. That is, again, all of that's 1,000% correct. Trump is ready and willing to help, and he has said that in fact, out of all these people, he's the one saying, I want bigger multiple checks. Both the Democrats and the Republicans don't want to do bigger multiple checks, but Trump does. It's crazy. But here's the thing. This is what we've been hearing from Trump. From Trump, he's not going to be doing anything with stimulus because all his energy is going to be focused on the election, getting this overturned. That makes sense. I get it. The other flip side of that is, this is what we've been hearing for a while. He's afraid if he does anything for stimulus, he's going to look like the president. They're going to try to spin it like the president who put us in more debt. And he will be left leaving office looking like he did a worse job. And he built so much of his platform on building the economy and making America good and all that, right? So as a result, he has really been saying, I don't really want to do much with this situation. However, and here's where I think it's going to get really interesting. Now we're starting to hear some of the voices from the White House say the opposite. He wants to try to push for something to happen. If he has to try to find somewhere to do an executive order, it looks like he's on the path to that. Because now he's been weighing in and he's seeing things are getting so bad. Unemployment now is starting to rise. We knew this was going to come at some point, even though we hear from Larry Kudlow and everybody else, oh, it's a great V-shape. It's a V-shaped recovery. Blah, 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 blah. We've been hearing all of this, but without these programs to keep that V-shape in place, people are losing their jobs. Things are going to start getting bad. It's just going to be a matter of time. All the top economists across the country. I just did a video about this. All these top economists right now who are calling to make sure something happens in regard to all of this, saying that we basically need stimulus money or we're doomed, and outlining what we need and how we need it. So it's looking like Trump is now starting to be open to not just a smaller bill, which he's always been open to helping the people in the interim, but also maybe trying to find us some stimulus money on his own. Because at this point, it's kind of like he's darned if he do, he's darned if he don't, no matter what he does. And it might be better optics, especially if he is looking, if the rumor is correct that he's looking to run in 2024, it's better optics to be the person that left, trying to do as much as you can to help the American people. Now, what those plans are and where that's going, we don't yet know. I'm thinking this week with the campaigning going on in Georgia, we're going to get more info and we're going to hear more about this and about so many other things on where things stand. I have a sneaking suspicion between now and January 21st, things are going to get crazy across the board. Things are going to get crazy with stimulus. They're going to get crazy in the government. They're going to get crazy with the election. So let's just hold on to our hats, buckle up, and you can come on this channel and giggle at how evil all these people are, because what else are we going to do to stay sane? This is how I stay sane. I look at these people and I giggle because I'm like, you're so evil. It literally activates me laughing because this is the only way I can cope with this. I hate that. Something bad happens and I start to laugh, not because I think it's funny. It's just like my natural reaction to it. I've always said I think it's because like, if you see something really, really dark, my immediate response is to kind of like, maybe this is from my new age days, transmute it into something that I can digest and process, right? I think it's just from being overly sensitive to stuff. Or maybe I'm just dumb. I don't know. We'll see. We will see what happens. Guys, if you like this video, please help me and my channel and give me a big thumbs up. Like this video, subscribe, hit notifications so you can be notified what's in the pipeline for you and your stimulus money. Also, sound off in the comments, y'all. Tell me everything you're thinking and feeling. You know I love to hear it. And guys, please share this content with as many people as you know are struggling right now. People who are on unemployment, waiting for unemployment, stimulus checks, FPUC loan and grid issues, and everything in between. I've got tons of tools and tons of resources to help you through this very difficult time, and I would love nothing more than to do just that. And guys, the more you like, subscribe, comment, notifications, and share my content, the more my channel grows. The more my channel grows, the more things I can do to give back to you guys. So for instance, my $100 gift card giveaway. Like I said before, very simple. This is all you have to do. Like every video you see, subscribe, hit notifications, comment, share the content, boom. You're entered, you're eligible, that's all you have to do. Do it for every video you see, and new rule, the more comments you leave, the more chances you have to win. So if you leave 100 comments, 100 times more chance to win. Yay, good luck to everybody. Find me on Facebook, Katie's Insight, like the page, join the group Katie's Corner, will be changed to Katie's Insight. We're in there helping people on a one-on-one basis find stimulus money in your area. By the way, it's all free. We're just a group of people who are struggling and we're all trying to help each other. So it's not, nobody's trying to sell you or do anything like that in there. We're just all trying to help people. And we have a wonderful moderator, British Gray. Hey girl, alongside of Alice, and they are in there kicking butt. British is in there every day finding people money just because she's a wonderful person and she does it for free. Because Lord knows I'm barely getting by. I can't pay anybody. And I just paid $2,700 over the last couple days of a payment I didn't think I'd have to do. Thank you, technology, but this is how things go. Okay, guys, I'm going to end it here now. I'm so grateful and I'm so blessed to have gotten to know so many of you and have so many of you who are on my channel. Thank you so much for opening your heads, your hearts, your homes, and your poor ears to my chipmunk voice and my information helping you. You've changed my life and you have just done such wonderful things for me. I'm so blessed to have all of you, and I will work every day as hard as I can to help you guys in your lives as well. Okay, guys, take care. Blessings, hugs, and kisses. Mwah! Bye, guys.